It's easier to learn your fourth skill set than it was your first one or your second one. You've heard me talk about this general thought before, but I just put the thought in your head, balance is for bitches. Balance is for, that's for children to fantasize about, or, a pretty girl can try to have some balance in her life or something, but you can't do everything at a high level at one time, Phil. So, if you could focus on one thing and get that up to a very high level that you're quite proud of and, very pleased with that outcome, if you could maintain that at 85 or 92% of your peak proficiency, and then go focus your psychosis on a second pillar and a third one. And maybe I talked about this with Don yesterday, or a couple days ago rather, that if you thought about, if you had like the table of success, like if you imagine a table and you're putting the fucking legs under the table, that I'm extremely good at this, extremely good at this, very happy where the various pillars of your life that you care about. And I don't want to create the thought of that these are all silos or not correlated ideas, but I know you're interested in investments. I know you're interested in real estate. That's great. That's the two areas where everybody in the world that made money made the fucking money. I know you're interested in entrepreneurship, so that's the other one that, frankly, I think is a lesser thing. I think that's a building block that you go build an entrepreneurial something that, unless you really, really are going to go build, publicly traded companies yourself, that you're going to start from scratch, build it for yourself, and maintain a lot of the equity through that whole process. If you could go build the next Airbnb or Uber or Google or whatever the fuck by yourself, congratulations, but I doubt it. And I feel the same way about myself, by the way. It's not my goal to go build these big publicly traded companies. But you know what? I can invest in them. You know what? I don't have to build it. I can own it. I can buy shares too and get the management for free. It comes with the share price. So you don't have to be Elon Musk if you believed in Tesla. I don't own a share of Tesla. I never have, and I probably never will. With the current multiples, I can't imagine where they would be that I would buy them. But, if that's somebody you believe in, I think he's great. I just think the shit's overpriced. If I was trading at a good price, I'd be like, you know what? I don't have to be Elon Musk. I can still own a piece of his company and benefit. Our incentives are in alignment. If he makes money, I make money. Again, I think that one's extremely overpriced. I'm just using that as an example. You know what? I don't have to be David Simon to own Simon Property Group and own their stock. David Simon's, I think it's hard to say, he's not a genius in commercial real estate. He's really a brilliant person. He has a pristine reputation. Tough guy, tough negotiator, not always a nice guy, but is regarded as a rather fair man, relatively fair man, and like a solid business person. I don't have to be David Simon to benefit from David Simon. I own a lot of shares in his company, and I think it's still undervalued, and I think it's going to double for sure. I think it might triple over time. I talked about this with our commercial real estate friend the other day. That I'm like, and I just explained what I said at different times on mentoring calls, is like, you got a low inflation, or you get a low interest rate environment, you got a zero interest rate environment. And, in the past, if something traded for fucking, a 6%, in a 2%, 3% interest rate environment, things were trading for a 6 or 7 point, cap rate, or 6 or 7 point return on dividends, then they're trading for, say, 15 times earnings, 16 times earnings. And in a lower interest rate environment, where you have a risk premium, they call it, from with the treasury notes versus what they're paying for distributions and publicly traded company, for a specific publicly traded company, whichever one it might be. In this case, I'm thinking about Simon. So just say 2.5% environment, if there's a 4-point spread, if there's a 4-point risk premium to have that over treasuries, to own that stock instead of treasuries, well, if there's a zero interest rate environment, and then there's still a 4-point spread, but now it trades it for 25 times earnings instead of 15, 16 times earnings. All right? And the dollar's worth less because you fucking devalued the currency. You had 28% to the money supply, so it's worth less. So if they got back to their same actual situation as they had in 2019 even, not the peak of the stock ever, but if they got back to 2019 numbers, in terms of real purchasing power parity, you have to then multiply that by, you have to divide by what the fucking risk premium was, multiply that by the new risk premium, you get to about 25 times earnings, and then you got to multiply that by the devaluation of the currency, so you can multiply it by another, 1.28 and running, 1.28 and higher. And you start playing with that, you take $150, and the risk premium itself takes that to $250 instead of $150, and then you take that and you think through the what I said about the devaluation of the currency, add another 30% onto the $250, and you got a $300 stock, 315.
And I mean, that's obviously exactly what the fucking plan is. And so for this psychosis, is wholesaling,
That's a different type of mental illness.
Yeah. But I'll just say, going into 2020, I had no idea I'd make, $200,000 cash helping clients, get, $500,000 worth of real estate contract on 2 separate occasions, and painting and my day trading, coaching career. So just, I try not to think about it too hard, right? And, don't interrupt the state, right? That's a cool thing. Never acknowledge the state, but so I'm just keeping it fucking going. I got my my little intern kid all trained up. I've been meeting with Mikhail every Monday for fucking March. And then I meet with Alex on Wednesdays, Sundays, and he actually did do an interesting thing that I did get kind of fascinated with for a second, which was he built Hyros, which is an ad tracking company. Just in the last year, from 0 to $50 million based on the MRR, the monthly recurring revenue. And I got pretty fascinated with that. For a technology thing, I wouldn't be building the technology. But just because one thing you did say to me about wholesaling that I had really not considered, maybe you can explain a little more, is the people that you're selling to trying to go behind your back and get on your territory basically. And one thing that I've done is I don't even tell the people what the fuck it is I'm selling, because when I go to do my advertising, I'll have a lot of other wholesalers kind of interested, because they're sniffing around. They're out there fucking sniffing around. And so I'm like, well, I'm not telling you shit really unless you're on a Zoom call. I write something good enough to get them on the fucking Zoom call to see if they're really a buyer or a wholesaler. So that's what I've done to try to address that. But just general tips and tricks.
The humans are such rodents. They're all rodents. Some of you even know you're rodents, and you're way above average rodents relative to the other rodents, but there's a rodent nature in many humans. I just say universally, and it takes a person who's going to overcome that has to have a long time perspective in mind, because a lot of human nature is short term myopic thinking, not being a good systems thinker, not understanding correlations of short term behavior versus long term outcome. And that whole industry is rife with, just little mouse creatures, nothing as noble as a rat, not even a hardy rat, just a little mouse-like creature scurrying around trying to get a little crumb of something. And I think it's the lowest of the low in real estate, I really do. And I've explained to others, this wholesaling idea that you're going to go tie up a property for, 90 days, 120, 180 days, and get it under contract and try to go sell it to somebody else. There's people will try to build their. It's just what human is. People try to build their whole business off of, whatever it is you're doing. Somebody that's less sophisticated will try to build some other business, off of that. Or if you look at what Facebook is, how many people built entire businesses off of Facebook in ways that it wasn't intended to happen, right? Or, even, there's people out there that all they do is make hate videos, That's all they do is make hate videos. It's like if somebody's fucking if that's what they do, if that's their life is making hate videos, how much income could you make from your little YouTube revenue making hater videos, you know? So like, these people are making no money. They're making no money. They make a few $1,000s a month. If they're successful haters, they make a few $1,000s a month, you know? And I'm like, so it's you're putting yourself in an environment where you're going to be surrounded by these, you know, short-term thinkers, don't have much money, you have a desperation to go do anything, don't care who they fuck over, and you're just putting yourself right like in a little pack of mice. So you know, I don't know. I just it's not. I don't think you're going to find a lot of long-term happiness there. Like
No, it's
you lose money in some of these things as well. So
right on.
I know you hate here and there. I know you hate here and there. I know you do. You're like, it's my dream to be the fucking king rat amongst the mice, and I'm like, yeah, bro, I get it, but you got bigger things you go work on.
And I guess those things will reveal themselves in time.
To your first comment, you know, I'm happy to have a back and forth, and you know, we could be here hours together with mastermind people, no problem. But don't get focused. Don't get worried about any of this balance nonsense that people talk about. Balance is for bitches. Balance is for fucking losers. But you know, do you think that Kobe or Michael? Do you think that these people had you know, a balanced life? It's like they just made like a whatever 8 or 10 hour documentary about Michael Jordan that, you know, it showed a much nastier side of Michael Jordan that appears to be pretty sincere, you know. Or, you know, Tim's book that he talks about, you know, he was Michael's main trainer. It talks about, you know, some dude's got leg cramps and he's getting a massage during training, and Michael said, you know, where the fuck is so-and-so? And it's always in the other, you know, physical trainer, whatever the fuck. And he goes in and, you know, takes his massage table and throws him on the floor, tosses the table over and throws him on the floor. Says, you know, get the fuck out there. The fuck's the matter with you? Get your fucking ass out there, bitch. So, you know, Michael showed up earlier, stayed later, did things that nobody else would do, sacrificed numerous other areas of his life to go be Michael Jordan, to go be the, you know, that public person, Michael Jordan. And I don't think there's anything wrong. Of course, a guy that works that hard is going to have a lot of fucking harsh standards in his head of, you know, and expect harsh things of the team. And he, you know, he cursed at the teammates. He called them all sorts of, you know, that's what it took to be Michael Jordan. Kobe's the same type of person. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. These are two guys that I have tremendous respect for. They were the same type of people. There's like, you know, whatever it takes to go do the thing, that's what was necessary, you know. And you know, I'm not. I'm inspired by that sort of thing, and I lived my life very much that way. That, you know, you got to focus on the thing. You got to say no to a whole lot of things to say the yes to the things you want most. And, you know, easy to, you know, the one shot that people take me, Derek, you're fat. Derek, I don't give a fuck. It was, I can, you know, you can see pictures of me 6 years ago. I wasn't fat. If you think I'm going to be fat 6 years from now, you're mistaken. That, like, that's a transition point that I had such deep focus on a few things that I let that area slide for a while. You know, well, I accomplished numerous other things in my life. My dating life was fantastic. I don't talk about my dating life even much because, you know, there's so much, everybody wants to talk shit and say little things because they have a bigger, you know, following and more public, all the drama that goes with more public attention, you know? So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm in 20 magazines or something, more than that, in the past fucking years, like entrepreneurs writing about me. I'm not gonna say the name of a few that are pending right now. There's a couple interviews I did already that'll be out that you'll see in the next month or two. But Entrepreneur magazine wrote about me. Yahoo Finance wrote about me. Numerous other things here and there around the world. It's like, I'm serious enough for Entrepreneur or Yahoo Finance, but then some idiot will make like a YouTube video and say, you know, this is a scam. He never went to college. He took a couple online classes. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, you know, like people with graduate degrees show up on my programs. They're like, damn, that dude's smart. Yeah, I never went to college. Oh, I have 3 fucking degrees. And you can't take time to argue with those people because you just popularize them. All you do is let them talk more shit. See, this isn't obvious to the public. So the way I'll deal with that, I'll let them talk more shit, and you know what? They'll feel emboldened to talk more shit, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I have a team of people that document that in the background. And then I'll go sue them for slander and libel. And then I'll have a judgment, and I'll go wave around that judgment and say, oh, that guy that's talking shit about me is like, now he owes me X dollars. If he wants to buy a house, he's got to buy me a house. If he wants to buy a house, he's got to buy me a car. If he gets a tax return, he don't get his tax return, I get his tax return. If he buys a house, my name's on the title. You're an attorney, is any of that false? If he buys a house, my name's on the title. If he sells that house, Daddy gets paid first.
Yeah, you get judgments.
Yeah.
Just in whatever jurisdictions he's got.
Yeah. Wage garnishments. If he makes money, I get paid from his employer. If they ever have an employer, people that say shit like that, that's not true, if they ever get a job anywhere, when they have an employer, my attorney will be contacting their employer, explaining to them that, hey, this person has legal obligations. You don't send them a paycheck. You send 20% of the paycheck to Daddy first. Daddy gets 20% of the paycheck. He can have the rest and pay taxes on all of it. So keep talking shit. People say, how do you respond to blah, blah, blah? So, I don't need to talk about that publicly. It makes me money if somebody does that. And they give me a lot of free publicity. So just think through in your life, I'm going on little tangents, but I'll tie them together. It's like anything you do, people are going to talk shit about it. I mean, dude, I teach Ivy League shit that I teach better than Ivy League shit because you can't even learn the shit in school. And I have the Ivy League credential to go with it. And people still are going to talk shit. So what do you think they're going to say about your wholesaling business? Which, 80% of the people in that business, it is a scam. I don't think that you're that type of person, but I don't think you'd argue with me either. 80% of the people talking about that type of business, it is a scam. It is total bullshit. So what do you think they're going to say? If you were very successful at that, what do you think they're going to say about you?
It doesn't even.
Nothing good. You block that, but it's still reality.
Yeah.
So I just don't see any future in that. It's rats fighting for crumbs. It's mice fighting for crumbs. It's mice fighting for crumbs. It's not even something as noble as a rat. And there's no barriers to entry, which is what makes it appealing to idiots. So you're going to have a subset of idiots fighting over crumbs, trying to backstab you, trying to undermine you, talking shit about you publicly, talking shit about you privately, trying to steal any leads or resources that you accumulate. It just sounds awful to me. And I know you're excited about it, but I'm just like, you're like in the 6th layer of hell, and being like, there's a lot of other things that would be, wholesaling is the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of real estate. And that's the person that's doing it, and then you're going to create programs talking about that or teaching that or facilitating those transactions, and you're just putting a target on your back that, if you think people say nasty things about me, first-rate publications write nice things about me, and and I have the academic credentials and so on and so on and so on and so on. If you think the fucking people give me a fucking unfair break, wait till they see what they say. Wait till you see what they say about you. Wait till you have that experience. And maybe you're not thinking about it right now, but that doesn't mean it's not reality. It's right around the corner. So if you make that successful, and maybe you could, but but it's limited success. And all I'm saying, bro, is for the effort that you would put into that, you got a lot of youthful energy, you're a smart guy, you got a lot of good ideas in your head. For the effort that you'd put into that, I think it's very short-sighted to put the energy and effort there relative to pick a different niche to do a deeper dive in that you could take a lot more money and for a longer time, there's other opportunities out there that for the same effort you could make a lot more money. So I'm not saying you're going to do worse. I quite literally think you'd do a lot better, and for a lot longer. Just pick a different topic, man. It's like you're fighting amongst rodents, little rodents. It's not going to end good. You might go do it anyway, but it's not going to end good. You're not going to be in whatever amount of success you say. You might say, I've had X amount of success. Well, you could have had 5X that.
Fair, and the way that I look at it, it's pretty absolutely.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And that really makes the point of how much money is available and some of that. And then this too is that in a lot of this wholesaling shit, people lose money. It's a job. It's a job where a person has a lot of anxiety. You got to go hustle to get something under contract. Then you got a time constraint to go fucking sell that, and you got if you don't sell it within that time, then fucking it's permutations where your seller and your buyer get together and you get crossed out of the deal if you're not if you're not careful about that, that could happen. Or some other real estate professionals finds a way to fuck you over in some way, or some crafty attorney finds a way to fuck you over in some way. And then countless people that are just young guys that don't have money, they have a lot of time but no money, will say and do all sorts of nasty things to try to disparage you and find a few pennies where you could have made $1. I just think it's going to be a brutality, especially when you start having social media elements and bringing the public. Dude, the public is so fucking stupid. You overestimate the intelligence of the idiots yet. You know they're idiots, but you don't know the depths of their stupidity yet. You'll learn. You're gonna find out. People make comments I'm not a billionaire yet, Derek. Nah. And well, I'm not either, and I never said I was. I never ever alluded that I had $1 billion or more. And what I learned about that, I'm they don't even know what $1 billion is. They literally don't even know how many zeros is in $1 billion. They just think that if somebody has, a carefree lifestyle, then somehow that's a billionaire or a trillionaire, or they don't even know how many zeros that is. They have no context. They just know that you're doing something, you have some freedoms and luxuries in your life, and therefore you're a piece of shit. And that's what the mainstream media supports. And that's what academia supports to some extent today. So you'll see. Do what you do, but you'll see where it goes. We're ready to work on something different. We'll talk about something else, but I think you're in for a lot of misery. Now, the positive things I could say is I know you learned a lot of things in the last year. Some from me, some elsewhere, some from life, and I know that you're working hard. I know that you're focused on that, and balance is for bitches. Balance is for bitches. So go build something at a high level, and then add something else, and then add something else, and then you can maintain those things. And it's easier to learn your fourth skill set than it was your first one or your second one, because you already learned how to learn. You already have the discipline. You learned how to learn. You have useful structures in your head that you can apply the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and weave that web of the linkages that happen in literally in your neural pathways, that you're linking fact with another fact and another fact. You start to have a deep knowledge of something, expert knowledge in some area, and pretty soon you can make a lot of inferences about how other things fit together in the world, eh? And that starts being quite useful. And you're doing that in your 20s. You're doing that at the right time to be doing that. And if you keep that habit, you're going to have a whole lot of wisdom in your head and a whole lot of life experiences, because you are a doer. You want to go do things and fuck with it. Sometimes when you shouldn't, you can't help yourself, but that mischievous part of you can't help yourself but get in there and fuck around and, well, let me fucking go guess and check and fuck around and fuck a few things up and get a few things right and then do something else and then do something. Well, there's a lot worse things than that, bro. So I think you're going to do very well. If I could bet on your future, I think you're going to do well. I'd just like to accelerate that or help you with a couple pitfalls. You're not even hearing it, so that's fair. But since you're not going to hear that, then at least focus on these other couple notes. And you're doing a lot of things right, and I think you're going to do really well long term. But don't get caught up with this balance shit. Find the couple things you're focusing on and do that really well, and then add another, and then add another, and you get a whole lot of things done that way. I don't think Tiger Woods lived a balanced life to be Tiger Woods. I don't think any high level athlete or the business equivalent was not balance was not their top priority. So I think that's a terrible distraction. Losers like to talk about that to excuse themselves from not being bigger winners. Don't fall into that trap.
Firstly, the course helped me to get to know who I am and what I want. That includes answering 3 sacred questions, which is one of the best exercises anyone can take. And beyond that, there are multiple other homework questions that help me dive even deeper into the things that I'm looking for. Secondly, there's a big emphasis on goals, so on defining them and on learning that if you're not willing to sacrifice for them, then your goals become your sacrifice. The emphasis on commitment and measurement during the course helped a lot. And another important tidbit that I learned is that action taking beats perfection. There will always be dirt in the system, and you need to start doing things right now in order to make things move in the direction that you want them to move.
Thanks for watching. Success is not for everybody, and it may not be for you. If you are or are on your way to be a millionaire or multi-millionaire, probably going to want to spend time with my clients. Probably going to want to have a personal relationship with me so we can accelerate that process, get you living up to your maximum potential, earning your maximum wage. You're going to want to click that follow button. You're going to want to click that bell and get notifications. Tune in every Friday. Tune in every Monday. You're going to love what you see. I look forward to having you as a client in the future.